Hello, welcome to Prajim Technologies. I am Venkat. This is part 2, Reading and Writing to Console. In part 1, Introduction to C Sharp, we have seen the basic structure of a C Sharp program, what is a namespace, and the purpose of the main method. We have seen a very simple C Sharp program there. All this program does, if you look at the slide, it prints out a message saying, Welcome to Prajim Technologies. That's what this program does. But in part 2, we are going to make this program a little more interactive. For example, when I run the program, it should prompt the user to enter their name. So when I run it, it should ask the user, please enter your name. The user types in his name, for example, let's say Prajim, and your program should output hello Prajim. If I type my name as technologies, hello technologies. So your program should be a little interactive. It should take the input from the user who is running the program and then print that name back to the console. So reading from the console and writing back to the console. That's what your program should do. So in this session, as I told you, we'll read from the console, write to the console. And there are two ways basically to write to the console. One is using concatenation and the other one is using the placeholder syntax. Usually prefer placeholder syntax it's because it's more clean. Now let's look at the demo. Okay, so what should our program do? It should print a message to the console, asking the user to enter their name. And in the previous example we have seen, to write a message onto the screen, we can use the WriteLine method that is present in the console class. And we know that console class is present inside system namespace. So console.WriteLine. So we will ask the user to enter their name. So please enter your name. So what happens when we run this program? It will prompt the user to enter their name. So once they enter their name and presses enter, we should read that name from the console. For example, if I run this program, so it will print this message, please enter your name. So the user has to type their name there and we should read that name from the console. And to do that, to read something, see, to write something onto the console, we use the WriteLine method. To read something from the console, we can use the readLine method. So console.readLine. So what will this function do? This function will read a line that has been typed onto the console by the user who is interacting with your program. So if he types, for example, Prajim and presses enter, this readLine method will read that word Prajim. And if you look at the IntelliSense, this function, okay, if you look at the IntelliSense, it says now here console.readLine. This is the fully qualified name. And if you look at the return type, this is the return type. What is this function doing? It is returning a string. For example, if the user types Prajim, that word is a string which will be returned back to the program. So readLine is going to give that name back to you. So you have to store that in a variable so you can use it later for printing. So I'm using a string variable called username. So username equals console.readLine. So if I enter Prajim, this method is going to read that and give it to this variable. And this variable will hold that value. Now what do we want to do with that? We want to print it onto the console. And to do that, again, to write something onto the console, we can use the WriteLine method. So console.WriteLine. But this time we want to say, for example, if the user typed Prajim, we want to print out a message, hello Prajim. Okay, so I can say hello, okay, and that's the string hello and a space, and to that I want to concatenate whatever is present in this variable. Okay, so if the user has entered Prajim, it will say hello space Prajim. If the user has entered something like London, hello space London. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this program. So when I run this program, look at this, let's walk through the code. Okay, so first this line is printed, console.WriteLine, please enter your name, please enter your name. So I enter my name Prajim and then press enter. So the moment I press enter here, what's going to happen? this piece of line, this piece of code will be executed. It will read that word Prajim and stores in this variable. And then what happens? This line will be executed. Okay, in username we have Prajim now. So Prajim will be concatenated with this string and outputted onto the console. So if I press enter, it will say hello Prajim. Alright, so it's as simple as that. So this is reading from the console and this line is writing to the console. Even this line is writing to the console. Okay, actually to write to the console there are two different ways. This one is called concatenation because we are concatenating this string with this string using a plus symbol. And in general, people actually use a different syntax. And that one, let's comment out this one, Control K, Control C, the keyboard shortcut to comment, or you can use the symbols right here. So comment and uncomment, uncomment and comment. Okay, so instead of concatenating strings like this and printing, we can make use of the placeholder syntax. So how do we do that? Console.writeLine and within double quotes, hello, space, and then within curly braces, 0. So what's going to happen? This is treated as one string, and within the string, there is a placeholder here. What should go into this placeholder? Whatever you pass in right here. So now what's going to happen? It's going to take this variable and substitute in this location when you execute the program. So instead of concatenating like this using plus symbols, you can actually use this placeholder syntax, which is mostly preferred. So when I go ahead and run the program, the output is definitely going to be the same. So Prajim, so hello Prajim. Okay, so you can either use placeholder syntax like this, or you can use concatenating strings, but usually people prefer this. Okay, so this is reading and writing to a console, the exact similar program that we have seen just now. And one important thing to keep in mind is C# is case-sensitive programming language. And what do we mean by that? The variables, etc., are actually case-sensitive. For example, if you look at this program, we have a variable, of type string called username, and we are using that variable here. Now, if by mistake, instead of capital U, if I use a small u like that, look at this, we get a red squiggly line indicating that there is an error because C# is case sensitive. So C# compiler treats this variable and this variable differently because there is a change in case. So C# is sensitive to that case changes. So that's why you need to keep that fact in mind. C# is case sensitive. Okay. So C# is case-sensitive programming language. And just to make this, to let you know that how better it is to use a placeholder syntax. Let's say, for example, we want to print the end user's first name and last name together. Okay, first name, comma, space, last name. So a program should ask the user to enter your first name, and we should read that into a variable called first name. And I also want the user's last name, so I should prompt the user to enter their last name. And to do that, so let's make a copy of that. So ask the user to enter their last name and use a variable as so last name. So we have two variables, one variable holding their first name, another variable holding their last name, and I want to print their first name comma last name. So I can say hello comma and then maybe another placeholder. So this is the first placeholder and this is the second placeholder. Now we have a variable. Okay, so the output should be, if I enter the first name as Prajim and the last name as Technologies, the output should be hello Prajim comma Technologies. That's how I should have. So this string says, okay, hello. If you look at this string, whatever is highlighted, hello, there's something here, comma, and something here. So what should come here? First name, and what should go here? Last name. So we pass them in that order. So first name, comma, last name. So now if you go ahead and run this program, first it will ask the user to enter their first name. So I enter my first name, and then it will ask the user to enter their last name. So we enter their last name, and the moment you press that, hello Prajim Comma Technologies. Okay. So pretty simple, a little interactive program. It's talking to the user is inputting something. We are reading that input from the user, concatenating them together and printing them out. So in this session, we have seen how to read from a console, how to write to a console, and the two different ways to print a message onto the console using concatenation and the placeholder syntax, and prefer the placeholder syntax because it's more convenient. And we have also seen that C# is case sensitive. And for more resources, please refer to our homepage, prajimtech.com, and for ASP.NET and C# interview questions, refer to these additional resources. Thank you. Have a great day.